I've sewn all but the last color of the design, and my machine is stopped, and I've got my lining fabric, and you'll want to place it face down, and then a piece of quilt batting, and then another piece of tearaway stabilizer on top of that. And I'm going to slide that under the presser foot and right over the top of the design. And I'm using a dark colored thread just for illustration purposes. But then you finish sewing your design, and the last color is going to be the seam. Okay, now I've taken the design out of the hoop, and I'm going to cut it out. And I leave about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance around the design. And I'll do this to each corner, and that's so that the piece will lay out nice and flat. I also cut small notches anywhere there's curves. And where there's an inside corner. Okay, I've cut little notches anywhere there's curves and where there are corners. And I'm going to turn the piece right side out. Okay, now I've turned the piece right side out, but I'm going to make sure that the corners are really square, and I just use my embroidery scissors to push the corners out square. You'll just want to make sure that you don't push through the fabric. And I push out any curves. And to help, you can roll the seam between your fingers to get it to lay out flat. And now I'm ready to sew the opening closed. Okay, now I turn the edges of the opening to the inside. And I sew it closed with a needle and thread. I took the knot to the inside. And I use just a simple slip stitch. And I try to make very small stitches. Now I have another couple of pieces that I've already sewn together, and I'm going to sew this piece to those. And to do that, I turn it over and sew it from the back side, making sure it's all lined up. Now to sew the pieces together, I'll take just a couple stitches right to begin with in the same spot to hold it. Then I just hold it together. And I use a simple slip stitch. Again, you could also use a blind stitch. And I'll show you how to do that too. If you're going to do a blind stitch, hold the two pieces together and you catch one side and then the other side with your needle. And either way is fine for sewing these together.